I just got off the Grand Loop, which is a bikepacking race that's 365 miles that connects the Paradox Trail, the Kokopelli Trail, and the Tabawatch Trail, starting in Nucla, Colorado. This was the first bikepacking race that I've done on a geared bike since 2019. A lot of the time I was riding single speed, so this time I was riding my Chumba Sendero Ti with some custom geometry, and before that I was riding my Chumba Sendero steel bike. I started racing single speed because I was just looking for like a fresh new way to ride a bike, and it's just like a really meditative way to ride a bike. I really enjoy that there's no like chain lag when you put a pedal stroke down. You like really feel that direct connection. When you're bike pack racing, there's no derailleur to worry about smashing against a rock or, you know, ripping off with a tree branch or something like that. So you potentially have less chance of a mechanical. During a bike packing race, everybody's speed tends to be a little bit slower than like a regular mountain bike race. So things tend to even out more, at least if it's a hilly course. There are less instances in a bike packing race where you find yourself spun out and needing to go faster. So the disadvantage of single speed tends to be less on a bike packing race. I do feel like riding single speed for years made me a stronger rider. You kind of have some forced intervals. Like if you want to make it up that hill, you're going to have to push pretty hard. And that in general, I think made me a stronger rider. Single speed is also lighter, cheaper, simpler, and it's a little more tolerant of like if I'm being more negligent with my bike and applying chain loop and things like that. Last year, I was riding on the Easy T on the Highline Trail behind a rider known as Ricky Bobby, and I watched him do a creek crossing, hop right back on his bike, and then spin in his easiest gear up a really steep hill. And I just like sighed and pushed my bike up that same hill for like the 1,000th time on that route. And I thought to myself, maybe I should give gears another try. So that's why I ended up building up my Sendero Ti with gears. I was just ready to kind of change things up again, and then yeah, having an easy button sounded kind of nice sometimes. On the Grand Loop, some advantages I noticed about gears, the major thing was that I was able to better moderate my energy, especially when it was really hot during the day. I could pedal pretty easy without getting off my bike. If I'd been on the single speed, I probably would have had to do more walking just to not overheat. On the Grand Loop, I did notice that sometimes on the geared bike, I was going a lot slower than I had realized, just because I had those gears. On the single speed, your cadence is really driving your speed, obviously, since you've got that one gear, but I could shift into an easier gear on my geared bike and go like 2 miles an hour up a hill, where on that just wouldn't be possible on the single speed. I'd either be, you know, going much faster or off the bike and pushing. One advantage that surprised me on the geared bike was that my butt hurt less. That surprised me because I'd always kind of thought that on single speed you're off the bike more, so your butt gets more of a rest. But on the geared bike, I could always adjust the pressure on my pedals so that I was never spun out and like with all my weight on my saddle. I could always put that pressure through my feet as opposed to at times having all the weight on my butt. So obviously with a geared bike, you can go a lot faster on flat and downhill terrain. So like in the Grand Loop, there was 20 miles of bike path, and when I would have been really spun out on a single speed, I was able to cruise really comfortably on the geared bike. If I had run a single speed on the Grand Loop, I probably would have run 3220, and so that would have meant I would have had to get off my bike and hike a lot more on those steep hills. I really didn't do a ton of hiking on the geared bike. I could just shift all the way down into that. I had a 2851 was my easiest gear. Obviously there were still times I had to get off my bike if it was really rubbly or just too steep to ride, but I was doing a lot less hiking on the geared bike for sure. So I was really happy with my choice to ride a geared bike on the Grand Loop this year. I also like having the single speed. It's just a really great way to train and get a hard workout in. For the rest of this year, I'm planning on doing all my racing geared, but I'm sure that at some point, once I get tired of that, then I'll probably be back on a single speed.